sure we all good there?
Yeah, we didn't change the stream, so we're still. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like
Okay.
to announce that we're back in open session at 8:02 p.m. Business arising from closed session. You want to turn that up, please? Can I get a mover and a seconder for the business arising from closed session? Councillor DeRose and Councillor Decker. That confidential CWCD 408-2024 dated September 28, 2024, respecting Upper Lane roadway extension be received. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Mayor, so there was some discussion, advice provided from Mr. Richardson in closed session. At this point, it's about what council wishes to do. You heard the original motion that was passed on September 10th. Any, I suppose, deviation from that would, in my opinion, but it's up to the Chair, Mr. Mayor, to decide, require a motion to reconsider, which would require a 2/3 affirmative vote of council members present, with the mover and seconder being present on September 10th and having voted with the majority then. At that point, it would essentially serve as a notice of motion to be heard at a future council meeting, unless, of course, council dispenses with the notice requirement and decides to deal with it immediately here. So I'm happy to work through any procedural questions that may come up, but discussion can follow at this point. But changes to the motion from September 10th would be a reconsideration, in my opinion.
Okay, so we'll open the floor for any comments or in open session, and go ahead, Councillor.
Just a suggestion, could we put the motion up on the screen?
The one from the
September 10th, so you know exactly what was in it?
I will wait for the clerk to do that.
Thank you.
There it is. Take time again to absorb it. Are there any discussions or comments? Did you have one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, are we only commenting on this or just in everything that we've been discussing?
You can comment on what we discussed. But
Okay.
if we make a change,
Good.
then that's a different ballgame.
Okay, perfect. I think we've heard tonight that all council and the developers, in fact, are all in favor of building this road so that DSBN can build a school. It's a win-win for everybody. But of course, there's stumbling blocks in the way. And we see that in order for this process to move forward, we're going to need parties, all parties, to work together. Whether it be on the cost-sharing resolution or simple design features that need to be incorporated into the building of the infrastructure. So one thing I would like to put forward is that we recommend that the parties come together, work through the requirements that each developer requires so that there are no stumbling blocks and that the road can proceed to be built in the quickest manner possible. One of the toughest issues here is, of course, the cost sharing. And I'd like to suggest that we have a third-party cost-sharing consultant enter into discussions with the parties involved so that a shared agreement can be accommodated, and therefore this project can have an opportunity to move forward.
Do you want Tom to comment on that?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, can I interrupt? Point of order, please? Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councillor.
If I can ask, we're just actually discussing a motion that was passed on September the 10th. To deviate from that is another subject. If I believe correct, if I listen to Mr. DeBano, that's what the discussion is about. We're not here to discuss about a site servicing agreement. We're not here to discuss about who wants this or who wants that. We're here to discuss about a road proposal, if I'm correct.
And I'm going to get Tom to comment, but go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe discussion can occur. It's when you get to the point where you're changing the motion, which needs the motion needs to be tabled and put on the floor, which is different than just a discussion and making comments. At that point, you're getting into the need to do a reconsideration.
Okay. Did you want to comment, Tom, or do you want me to continue with the council? Did you have any comments that you?
Can I ask that, Sad? Are we at the point of reconsideration, Mr. Mayor, if I can follow up?
No, we're not.
Because I think we're getting out time. We're not?
No.
I'm just wanting to make sure.
Did you want?
I don't think I have anything to add to the clerk's advice. At this point, council's considering whether it will bring any motion to reconsider or not. I think it's entitled to have that debate. And then, as Mr. DeBono says, it will be when it comes to an actual motion, it'll have to meet your procedural bylaw requirements that he outlined earlier.
Thank you. Councillor Longo, you wanted to comment?
Well, yes, Mr. Mayor. Procedurally, I just thought that since we're discussing this motion again, we do need to reconsider because that's how we've done it in the past. I could be wrong, but
I'll leave that with the.
I agree.
like,
You can certainly hold that vote now. Like I said, 2/3, I believe everyone was present on September 10th and voted in favor of the September 10th motion. So if you wanted to bring a mover and seconder and get rid of the notice of reconsideration now,
Well,
you can do so.
the reconsideration is separate from changing the motion. That's just to reconsider the motion.
Yeah, it
Okay.
allows the reconsideration to
It
take
allows
place.
that to be
It's
tabled.
not the actual
Exactly.
amended motion, if there is any.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder then to table that, to table a reconsideration? Do I have a mover and a seconder for that? Right, I got Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Didavides. Okay, 2/3 is required, and it's not debatable. All those in favor? I can't see on the, can you put your hands
I'm not in
up?
favor.
No, all those in favor is what I'm asking now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Didavides, I can't see what you're voting.
In favor. My hand's up.
How many here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Against? Counselor Hanley, you're against? That motion's carried. Okay. 7-1, right? You got that? Yep. Okay. So now, the motion's on the floor and can be discussed.
There can be discussion. There is no motion currently on the floor. So
I mean, the
it would be-
existing,
Well, that's what's being reconsidered, so it's essentially as if that never happened. Council is free to pass that same one again, but the point is you're essentially, it's a blank slate at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
okay. I'll open the floor for discussion. Does anyone want to speak?
Yes.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Sorry, apologies, Mr. Mayor. Point of order. To discuss now, it would require another 2/3 to waive the notice requirement. Apologies.
You're correct. Otherwise, it would be a notice of motion for the next meeting. Correct.
Okay, so that would be...
You want to read that, please?
Okay, so the motion for that would be that the notice requirement established by section 11.1 of the City of Thorold's procedural bylaw be waived to permit immediate reconsideration of Council's September 10th, 2024 motion respecting Uppers Lane roadway extension in accordance with section 11.2 of the procedural bylaw.
Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Counselor Decker, Counselor O'Hare? 2/3 is required. All those in favor?
Favor.
Opposed? Against, 7. Okay. Okay, so now we can discuss that. So is there any discussion or anyone?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead. Did you want to speak? Go ahead, Counselor Hanley.
Yes, see, network motion. I'd like to put a motion on the floor
Yeah.
that Rolling Meadows Land Corporation be given the contract and in part with the tendering process being followed. This is the thing. See, this is the loophole we have here. We don't know whether or not we're following the tendering process or not. So I got a little loophole in regards to the thing. How about if I do this? I want to put a motion on the floor that the City of Thorold build the road.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll do it.
Counselor Dedivides. Discussion on that motion. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'll let you speak first, Counselor Hanley, then I'll go to Counselor Longo.
Well, Mr. Mayor, what I can see is that everybody seems to be afraid of a lawsuit, be it from Park Ridge, be it from Rudanko, be it from Rolling Meadows. And in order to alleviate any concern or to me, myself, any threat of a lawsuit or anything, because we didn't follow procedure, I think it might be in the best interest that we get the City of Thorold to build the road. I know we're not into we've built roads in the past. Obviously, we've done that, like Mr. Holman pointed out. And we surely agree. But now we're going in and going to be building roads within a construction site because an individual has built 39 roads previous is obviously, it seems to me, isn't the individual to do it. So in order to appease all people involved, Park Ridge, Rolling Meadows, and Rudanko, I suggest that the City of Thorold build the road.
And Counselor Dedivides seconded that. Now, Counselor Longo, you had your hand up. Did you want to comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the appropriate staff member, Councillor Hanley mentions we should build the road. Obviously, we wouldn't build the road, we would contract that out.
Yes, obviously.
No, Counselor Hanley, staff will answer that question, okay?
Sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's normal practice for sure.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that because it almost sounded like we were going to do it. And through you to the appropriate staff member, this road extends in the future quite a ways. Where would we be building this road from and to at this point?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the proposal by Upper Canada Consulting was to go to the east side of the block that will eventually be the school block.
Okay, but I guess my question is, that's from an outside consultant. What do we suggest we do?
Jeff?
Through you,
Jeff or
Mr. Mayor,
Sean?
through you,
Go
Mr. Mayor, I suggest we take it all the way over to Thorold Town Line Road.
Okay. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to the appropriate staff member, this road will be built to city standards, obviously, and incorporate all future developments in its design and construction?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly we can do that.
Okay. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to the appropriate
Yep.
staff member, do we have a time frame in which this project would start? I mean, the actual construction, not the design, et cetera.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll have to go through our procurement process and we have to nail down exactly what it is we're building. So I would suggest 6 weeks to get somebody on board and then construction after that. So I'd say we're probably into the spring by the time we get it done.
I guess just one more question, Mr. Mayor. So in terms of engineering design and so on, is that mainly done to this point, or is this something staff needs to work on with consultants?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's certainly something that needs to be worked on. We actually have 2 different designs at this point in time, so we kind of need to come to some sort of agreement as to what we're going to build.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor D'Angelo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know we're talking about building of a road, but I just want to be clear. Is this also going to include the servicing that goes under the road for the future development? You, Mr. Mayor, to a staff member?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly that's how I would understand the concept.
Okay, so
I'm taking direction from you.
okay, subsequent to that, are we going to have a servicing agreement moving forward? Because I'm understanding if we build it, we'll be using city funds to build it. I don't know if development charges are applicable for the servicing for the road. I believe so. How are we going to make sure that the city recoups their funds from the future developers? Is there going to be an agreement with the landowners adjacent to this road? And will that be done before construction?
Through Mr. Mayor, so Councillor D'Angelo is right. We're talking about a construction agreement that talks about what gets built and you know how it might be implemented. The question of who pays for what will have to be addressed as part of the tender award with actual numbers and likely a second agreement with the developers as to who's going to pay for their share of the costs that are considered to be local services under our development charges bylaw. That portion that we're collecting DCs for that go towards the road, that portion will be paid for by development charges. But if we go down this path, it looks like there's 2 agreements, one for the construction and one for the cost sharing.
A question, if we build the road, can we apply for funding, water sewer funding under provincial programs that are available right now? And the reason I ask this question, because you know that it happened in Lincoln, so.
I will have to look into that.
Okay,
Just another question to you, Mr. Mayor. I know the Councilor Longo asked if we're gonna build the road, how far will it be quicker to build the smaller portion with phase one and then phase two being the secondary portion that goes beyond the block of where the school needs to be to Town Line Road? Would that expedite the process, or will it slow the process down? Maybe we get a clarity on.
So, through you, Mr. Mayor, obviously, the smaller the construction, the quicker it would be completed. However, we have to look at, how are we going to address emergency access, like a secondary access? We're very much, if we stop just at the first street as originally proposed, there is a risk that we're at the mercy of the developer to build the next phase, in which case we would have the road there that has no secondary access. So, yeah, the shorter road would be completed a lot faster, but, I think I think you're talking about maybe another 3 or 4 weeks to have construction time to complete the work all the way out to Town Line Road. It's not that much more once you have all the equipment on site.
Okay, so it might be, through you, Mr. Mayor, more cost-effective to do the whole road at once with the servicing as opposed to just do the section that I know was being pressed upon.
I think you're right, Councillor. Then you mobilized once and you have all the equipment on site.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Go ahead, Councillor Decker, and then I'll go online, because I have a couple that want to speak. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm not sure if this is, I'm out of line or not. If we build the road, do we still have to work with DSBN to make sure that we're following what they,
Timelines, is that what you're worried about?
yeah, I'm worried about the timelines. The reason we originally said that we were going to build the road was because there was a timeline on them to have this agreement with Rolling Meadows to, between DSBN, Rolling Meadows, to get the school built. And all of us want this school. So if we do it where we are going to build the road now, are we going to miss this timeline that they've brought to us at council last week in order to get everything in place for them to build the school? That's my concern, is the timeline. Maybe you can answer that as a part one. And part two, would it be more beneficial to keep it the way we had it, working with staff to make sure that all the services and everything else is met in order to meet the needs of what we initially wanted to do?
Through Mr. Mayor, so we don't have any agreement or haven't had any discussion, frankly, with DSBN as to what their preference is. This was a proposal that was brought to us, so we're responding accordingly. Having said that, we've made some progress in negotiating things like a 2-meter road allowance that we will require from DSBN, and that entire frontage. That is an advantage of working with Rolling Meadows, because Rolling Meadows has agreed to provide that land to the city for a future road allowance. If we decide that we want to go on our own, we will not be able to get that road allowance until there is a consent application to sever that parcel of land, and we could make it a condition of it. And I don't think we're in a position here to negotiate to purchase the land unless that's absolutely necessary as part of the project. But there's some pluses and minuses of having the city move ahead with it. We are assuming that there'll be a consent application now to create this block that the school could build on. But until that comes, we can't make any demands to acquire things like road widenings and things.
So that would be my concern, that the purpose of what we were trying to do possibly might not happen, because we want to make sure we're going to get that school, and everyone else wants this school. So I'm not sure if we're in the best position to say, yes, we're going to do the road at this time, unless we sit with DSBN, Rolling Meadows, and staff to determine what the needs and timeline were of this school being built.
Manoj is gonna speak.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't know the terms of agreement that is between Rolling Meadows and school board at this point in time. We know that we have delegation from school board. What do we understand at that time? That there has to be intent to build the road in the next 120 days. That's what we are aware of it. What else is in the agreement, we don't know. If council direct us to go through this route, we have to also understand what our resources are there and how quickly we can get the tender done and how quickly we can build based on the other commitments that we have. So if council direct us to go that route, definitely we need to speak with school board just to see whether they are in agreement with the timelines and all. And also, ultimately, it is the agreement at this point in time between Rolling Meadows and the school board, which we are not privy to. So yes, if you direct us to build the road, staff is saying that yes, we have the ability to do that and we can do that. But how quickly we can do that, we have to look at it, and then we need to speak with school board whether they will be in agreement with that. So at this point in time, we have no discussion with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Sentence and then Councillor Didavides.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, and I think my question is to Mr. Richardson. Isn't our best bet to get this done speedily and get it to where all parties are happy, and not knowing the school board's portion of this, keeping the school board happy, everybody happy? Aren't we better off keeping the motion keeping the original motion and amending it so that we ask the parties or tell the parties that they have to get together for the cost sharing portion of this? And that is our quickest, safest way to do this? If I didn't say that properly, I apologize, but kind of what we talked about before.
Tom, do you want to comment on, or Ed?
In my opinion, I think both ways recommend themselves, because we'd be using the same sort of mechanisms, whether it's in an agreement with the developers, as we've talked about, or whether it's our doing it. We're still going to have an agreement with the developers with respect to cost sharing, as staff have already recommended this evening. So from my perspective, it's 6 of one or half dozen of the other, I'd say.
But again, like Councillor Decker said, my fear is speed. It seems that if we left it the way it was and amended it, that the parties had to get together for the cost sharing portion of it, it would be a quicker version for the school board to get this done.
It still requires us to negotiate that cost sharing agreement, and my efforts so far haven't gone very far. So I can't say to you whether it's going to be more speedier one way or the other. We still have to bring these parties together to enter into one or more agreements.
Okay, this is crazy. Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Didavides.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a comment and a question. I'm glad that the city's going to build this, and I agree with staff. We should go right to Town Line Road. Every year, things get more and more expensive. And didn't the DBSN, the school board, say they're going to be started in the spring to staff? Didn't the school board say they're going to start in the spring?
We've had no discussion with the SPN as to what their preference is.
Staff has not had a discussion with them at this time, Councillor Ditavides.
So if we build the road, usually to build a school, it takes a couple of years. We should have plenty of time to get that road in.
And is that it, Councillor?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor DeAngie, you had your hand up again.
I guess my question, going back to the original motion of building the road, but that was only, I want just clarity, that was only to build a small portion of the road. It wasn't, and it didn't have the agreement in place yet to have the service, the appropriate servicing following through. Okay, so, okay, this is my suggestion. I don't feel comfortable because I don't have all the information. Because I know Rolling Meadows was working with the school board and there's some deadlines there of when the road has to go in. Because nothing is, I haven't seen anything concrete that says the school's coming for sure unless there's some agreement in there. So we don't have all that information. So we're sort of blind on that side. So then we're looking at, okay, everyone wants a school. Everyone in the audience wants a school. We're all in agreement with that, right? So the second, we all are pretty well in agreement. We want the road built, right? Now there's a discussion between the small portion and the full portion, right? So we're all in agreement that we want to do that. So the only problem is not all the parties are at the table agreeing to this to make sure this happens. So I'm one that hates deferring things, but we have a council meeting coming up on the 21st.
2 weeks from tonight.
I would like to put this back in staff's hands, work with everyone in this room and the school board to come back with a solution here on the 22nd, so council can all put their hands up. Yes, this is gonna work. This is gonna meet everyone's specifications. We're not losing the school. We're not gonna have the wrong road built. We're not gonna have the wrong servicing. I expect everyone to work diligently. Mr. Richardson, you're gonna have your hands full if this happens, but I expect everyone to work diligently to make this happen and make council's decision easy. That's what I'm looking for.
So what
right now, it's not. You're making it very difficult. Everyone's making it very difficult.
So what you want to do at this time, and correct me if I'm wrong, and then I have to go back to Councillor Hanley, is to take the motion off the table and ask staff to bring that back, and then we can decide what we're doing at the next meeting. Is that correct?
No, to take this motion off the floor, put a motion on the floor to have staff come back, work with all the parties.
Let me first ask Councillor Hanley if he's okay with that. Councillor Hanley. Councillor Hanley.
Muted.
I can't hear you, Councillor. Councillor Hanley, you're muted.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Well, Mr. Mayor, the way I look at it, if we don't get the city to build it, we're going to get sued. That's the feeling I got tonight.
Well,
that if we don't have Park Ridge permission, so I don't want no amendment. Let's go through with it and let it vote, because we already passed the resolution on September 10th. Council just voted against that resolution to have Rolling Meadows build the road. So obviously there's enough councillors here that don't want Rolling Meadows to build the road. So it's either Park Ridge is going to build it, Rudanko's going to build it, or the city of Thorold's going to build it. I leave my motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor.
okay, so the motion on the floor, which he doesn't want to take up before, is, and I'll let you put it back up, because then if you agree with that, we vote on that. If you don't agree with that, we come back and get a new motion.
I know it's going to get defeated, but I'm leaving my motion on the floor.
I know, that's what I said. Okay, so the motion is, and it was short and sweet.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Hanley, that's the motion, so believe that's up there now.
To construct Uppers Lane, okay. And you had a seconder. Did you want to comment on that? Go ahead, Councillor Longo, because we have to decide what we're doing here or whether we're going in another direction.
Right, and that's why I want to comment on Councillor Hanley's motion then.
Go ahead.
In light of Councillor D'Angela's comment. My feeling is we should also move towards referring this back to staff. And the biggest reason being is if we approve this and go ahead with building a road it may be a road that goes to nowhere because the DSBN may not be committed to building a school. And that's the whole reason why we want to build this road. So I agree with what Councillor D'Angelo is saying. We need to refer this to all the parties involved, and one being the DSBN, to make sure that they're willing to work with the timelines that may be in place here, because this may extend past 120 days. So again, I don't want to.
You're not gonna support this motion?
I won't support this motion.
Okay, anyone else want to speak to that motion? Okay, we had a mover and a seconder for that motion. There's no one else that wants to speak to the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion is defeated. Okay, now we'll go back to Councillor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to work with all the parties affected by this situation, the DSBN, Rodanko,
Park Ridge and Rolling Meadows.
Rolling Meadows, to come and work with our solicitor and our staff to come forward with a solution that best fits, that they could work together, that best fits. At the end of the day, it might be Rolling Meadows building this road, because I heard that as part of the presentation, right? But they did have some concerns with some of the cost sharing of the servicing. So let's get all that sort of ironed out. I know 2 weeks is an aggressive time frame to get this done, but I think if everyone wants to move forward on this and give council the opportunity to make it a lot easier, because we seem to be struggling with this because we can't come up with the right answer at this point in time because we're lacking a bit of information. So let's get everyone in that same room and make it happen. And that would please me to no end.
Can I get a seconder for that? I got Councillor Longo. Okay. And we'll wait till he gets it up, because I'm our clerk, so I want to make sure everybody's happy, and then we'll go from there. Okay? And don't be in a rush. Take your time. Let's make sure we get the right. And Councillor D'Angelo, if you can see anything that you. It's not up yet, so. No. We gotta wait till the motion's on the floor before we have any further discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I think that captures the intent that staff and the council, staff and legal counsel will work towards the stakeholders.
Captures it with all stakeholders.
Yeah. And
I'll put all, just add the word all stakeholders.
And Mr. Mayor, I like the fact that it's options, so there could be a couple options there that make this happen. Thank you.
Are you good with that, Tom?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
So just for clarity, Councillor D'Angelo, I've just added the word all stakeholders, since you are the mover of this motion.
Good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with all stakeholders, yes. We definitely want to make sure, and again, I don't know if there's, just so if I could speak, I don't know if there's other landholders that are not here represented that are going to be part of the Uppers Lane. If it's just Rodanko and Park Bridge, then I'm okay with that, but if there is other land. Yeah, okay, but let's notify them if there's someone that's not here that needs to be notified. Thank you.
Okay.
What happened? I get cut off. I got cut off.
Just to make it life simple, let's ask.
There you go.
Councillor DeVitas, what was your vote?
Let's ask for a recorded vote.
I can't hear if anybody's speaking.
We're doing a recorded vote. Can you hear Councilor Hanley?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay.
I couldn't hear what was said previous, though.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so Councilor D'Angela requested a recorded vote. Okay, so we will go clockwise from Councilor D'Angela as the mover.
Yep.
So Councilor DeRose?
In favor?
Wouldn't I start?
Oh, I thought he did.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
Okay, now,
Okay, Councilor Sentence?
Favor.
Councilor Hanley,
In favor.
Okay, Councilor DeRose?
In favor?
Councilor Longo?
In favor.
Councilor Decker?
In favor?
Councilor O'Hare?
In favor.
Councilor,
Oh, right.
I know.
Councilor DeVitis?
In favor?
Councilor O'Hare?
In favor.
In favor.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Again, I can't hear.